Alrighty, we're going to create a vector of random numbers and put it to a graph. So here's a quick tutorial on graphs and for loops and random numbers in Labview. Always like to start with the front panel so we can drop down. In this case, we're going to use a graph. A graph takes a vector. A chart has memory, takes a single number, so that's not what we want. So we'll drop down a graph. And we can also make him a little bit bigger. And then I'm going to drop down. I've got to push my down arrow here so I can see the modern toolkit and a numeric control. And I will give him the name number of samples. So this is how many times we're going to run. And I'll just put the number 100 in there so I don't forget later and have things run 0 times. That'll probably be confusing for me. So I've got my numbers of samples in my waveform graph over here and on my block diagram. So I'm going to need to create some random numbers. So again, programming, numeric, and it looks like dice, and there's a random number between 0 and 1. And I'm going to want to create this some large number of times, so that starts to sound like a loop, and in fact it is a for loop. So programming, structures, there's a for loop. I can put that around my random number, tell that to run 100 times, and wire that to my graph. You'll notice that the thin wire here, a single number comes out. Auto-indexing tunnel is up, which means that these numbers are going to pile up, and when this thing is done, we'll get a vector out here that'll have 100 elements in it. Sure enough, if I hit run, and then every time I hit run, in fact I can hit run continuous, and we see a graph of 100 numbers that are randomly between 0 and 1. If I wanted a different range of numbers, I could multiply by or add to those to get whatever scaling I wanted. And of course, I can produce different numbers of different length vectors by changing my number of samples. And that's a very quick tutorial on how to produce a graph full of a vector of random numbers. Thanks.